So the Super Rugby season is upon us, which means two things. One, any YouTube creator with any Super Rugby footage in it is getting well and truly shafted. And two, the Southern Hemisphere's greatest tournament is about to begin. And I don't really care that much, which is crazy and wrong. This tournament that hosts the best talent from countries like New Zealand, Australia, South Africa, Japan and Argentina, giving me barely indifference. Well, that lack of intrigue is what this video is about, as we answer the question, Super Rugby, why don't I care? So, the moment I first realised my own lack of interest was when I saw an article on Facebook talking about the opening game of the Super Rugby season being soon. I then mentioned the fact to my girlfriend, who asked what is Super Rugby, as apparently it sounded like a place where all the best rugby players go to play a supercharged version of the game, which, although not entirely wrong, gave me the dilemma of actually having to explain how it actually worked, which, as a casual fan of the supercharged version of the sport, was a slightly concerning prospect, as I had no idea how it worked. I mean, I had a basic understanding that there were conferences and that most teams played the same teams quite a lot. But when I was questioned about which teams the Japanese and Argentinian teams play, my mind just became stuck. Which made me realise if I can't explain the convoluted mess that is the Super Rugby schedule, how can any other casual fan get into it? In addition to that revelation, I continued to ponder my own relationship with Super Rugby. During that intense pondering session, I made another discovery. I hadn't actually been invested in the competition for about 2 years, which isn't right, but I think I know why. I think the main thing keeping me and other casual fans from being able to fully invest and care about Super Rugby is the schedule. I have no godly idea how it works still. I remember about 2 years ago there were 18 teams in Super Rugby and no one seemed to know what was going on. All I remember seeing was all the Australian teams playing each other loads and everyone smashing the Sunwolves. And I think this was the point I probably subconsciously decided that I wasn't really going to be keeping tabs on Super Rugby anymore. But after that season, Super Rugby made the cutthroat decision that it was going to remove 3 of its teams. So the Kings, who had just come into the competition the year before, got punted, as well as the South African Cheetahs. But then they went too far and got rid of the team I supported, the Western Force. Another nail in my subconscious coffin. But this decision did make the tournament look slightly more palatable, having their conference system with the Argentinian Super Rugby side in the South African conference and the Sunwolves in the Australian conference. But if I'm honest, it's still a bit of a crapshoot. Like, I know this is very taxing in terms of financial logistics, but in my league tournaments, I like everyone to play each other. I know American sports do the conference system to help teams deal with the travel, but that system is so lame, because in those systems, there is always a conference that is harder than the other, and it's not necessarily the best team that gets through the playoffs, because it's just about how well you do in your individual conference. I think to combat this problem, Super Rugby came up with the wildcard system, which I will explain to you now. The Super Rugby quarter-final hosts are 4 teams, 3 geographical conference winners and best wildcard teams based on the tournament points earned, regardless of geographic conference. The next 4 teams will be the best teams based on tournament points earned in the regular season, regardless of their conference. Quarter-final wildcard spots are 4 teams, 4 next best wildcard teams based on tournament points regardless of conference. All 4 of these wildcard teams will play away from home in the first round of the playoffs. Then the Super Rugby quarter-final draw, the 8 teams who qualify for the playoffs will be ranked from 1 to 8, with 3 conference winners making up the first 3 based on points accumulated during the regular season. The team with the highest number of competition points accumulated will be ranked as Team 1. The Super Rugby teams with the next best highest points scored will be the 2nd and 3rd teams. The team with the highest points and is not a conference winner will be ranked as number 4. The next 4 teams will be ranked in the order that they finished the regular season on based on competition points. The quarterfinals will then be contested as follows. Quarterfinal 1 is 1st vs 8th, quarterfinal 2, 4th vs 5th, quarterfinal 3, 2nd vs 7th, quarterfinal 4, 3rd vs 6th. Why is this so fucking complicated? Just have everyone play each other once, with the top 8 playing in the quarterfinals, or even better yet, just have the top 4 play in the semis and then a final. Is that so hard? Jesus. I feel like this lack of clarity and simplicity is what is keeping the tournament, with the most entertaining on-field action, from being the force that it could be. Rugby is complicated enough. The last thing it needs is more rules. I understand that this tournament is the only one to take place in multiple time zones and is basically a logistical nightmare from every possible angle. But I fear if significant steps aren't taken to simplify how the tournament works and to make it more palatable, it won't just be the casuals like me who lose interest. Super Rugby franchises outside of New Zealand have all been struggling to fill up their stadiums, some due to people being bogged down by the amount of politics surrounding the game in the country, and some due to overall lack of interest in the sport as a whole. And if a solid foundation isn't set for these franchises to build on, things could only get worse. And I mean, you got rid of the force, you dicks.